Hello, and welcome to Setting the Standard, the podcast about wireless radio standards creation from the Wireless Innovation Forum. I'm your host and Communications Director of the Forum, Stephanie Hamill. In this episode, I'm talking with Colby Harper of Pathfinder Wireless, chair of the Forum's new 6G working group, to explain how the group started and where it's going. Hi, Colby. Thanks so much for meeting with me today.
Hi, Stephanie. Thanks for having me.
So Colby, I'm here to talk to you about the 6G working group today that the One Forum is putting up. So what can you tell me about the creation behind this group and why it started?
So let me start with what we'll call sharing native 6G. Sharing native 6G is essential to meeting the ever-growing spectrum requirements and global market demands. So, Stephanie, to this end, the Wireless Innovation Forum's 6G work group was chartered to address 6G spectrum innovation, and particularly sharing native 6G commercialization, and essential to our charter, collaboration across the international technical and regulatory standards and market development ecosystem bodies to translate this sharing native 6G concept to reality for all sectors. The 6G working group builds on WinForum's ecosystem leading sharing experience and expertise, along with recent successes.
Thanks, Colby. So what can you tell me about what you all are working on right now?
So we're working on a number of standards development organization outputs, though let me highlight that we, while chartered to address spectrum in the 6G era, we do have a specific multi-stakeholder issue, which is our top focus, that's spectrum sharing in 6G, and particularly sharing native 6G. So this includes multiple SDO type of outputs and efforts, one of which is well underway now. That's our Dynamic Spectrum Sharing Coordination Functional Architecture. It's a draft technical report with contributors from international organizations as well as US domestic organizations. That addresses, for instance, a notional DSS architecture for the 6 gigahertz band, which is a dynamic sharing band, by the way, even though it's, to a great degree Wi-Fi centric at this time. It will be a 6G band as well. And it is adjacent to the emerging global 6G golden band of 7 to 8 gigahertz, which is just one of the bands we will be looking at. I mention that because per WRC 23, not only Wi-Fi, but also in certain parts of the bands, in certain of the 3 ITU regions, there will be joint sharing across both Wi-Fi and the 3GPP family of radio access technologies, 5G and now 6G. So we here in the Win Forum have a history of taking a technology agnostic approach. So for instance, with the 6G open global 6 gigahertz band, we already have technology agnostic interfaces across both Wi-Fi with our collaboration with the Wi-Fi Alliance, the IEEE Wi-Fi standard underpinning that collaboration, as well as the 3GPP family of radio access technologies via the interface for its 3GPP specific spectrum resource allocation mechanism. So we're bringing that technology agnostic approach into the 6G work group, and we'll be moving forward with that. 6 gigahertz and 7 to 8 gigahertz, etc.
That's fantastic. So you mentioned the technical report. What are your goals of your group right now, and what impact are you hoping to have?
So two things. One of our goals of the group is to foster, not just within the Win Forum, but across the standards development and market development ecosystem, commercialization and translation to market reality. So just some examples of that, if you allow me to highlight a few of the collaborations that are essential to us doing this, essential to this aspect of our mission, is, for instance, our collaboration with ETSI, the European Telecommunication Standards Institute. This is a collaboration initiated by our own Chief Regulatory Officer, Prakash Marut, now of Shure, formerly of Nokia, building off our Win Forum ETSI collaboration in local private 5G sharing. We're focusing on sharing in the context of multimodal intelligence transportation systems. This is an extension of V2X-based sharing. It's also an important area for our joint efforts, so watch the space for more going forward. By the way, I'd like to mention that the local 5G sharing is critical. It's important there in Europe, particularly in Germany. One of our members is, I mean, a number of our members are focused there, but also in Japan, right? They're leaders in local 5G, along with some of these European countries. The US, of course, is a leader in CBRS and in 6 gigahertz. And we also collaborate internationally such that these innovations in spectrum sharing and spectrum sharing approaches can be brought to bear in the 6G era. Another one, the ORAN Alliance, right? This is not a formal alliance, but it is really worth highlighting some of our collaboration there. So while Pathfinder, my company, authored key portions of the early ORAN front-haul specification back when it was transitioning from XRAN to the ORAN Alliance out of Bonn, while we were working on that and introducing some sharing concepts early on, it wasn't the right time for it at ORAN, but now it is the right time. And lately, these efforts for ORAN RU, remote unit, radio unit, based sharing efforts, they've been brought into the ORAN Next Generation Research Group, the NGRG, by one of my fellow WinForum board members of, from a leading wireless ecosystem chip maker, and one of their key research leads. And that was very well received. So those sorts of collaborations we'll keep on building on. Another one is related to a key pillar of the WinForum 6G work groups sharing efforts, and that's mobile sharing on the go in the 6G context. This is where the infrastructure itself is mobile. And for instance, in the case of NTN, the mobile aspects of NTN, the on-the-go aspects, in this case, up high altitudes and or space, right? One of Europe's leading communication research institutes, Fraunhofer, is bringing their expertise in joint and integrated communications and sensing to bear here, right? Along with key US and other expert members of the forum. In fact, a number of WinForum member organizations, Pathfinders just being one, were among the early NTN delegates, right, at 3GPP, securing NTN's inclusion in 5G, as well as bringing international 3GPP NTN efforts and North American, in this case, ADIS NTN efforts together to accelerate the ecosystem. In fact, one of the key members of WinForum, one of the organizations, led and facilitated that effort there in 3GPP. So this sort of cross-industry, cross-ecosystem collaboration is essential for the acceleration of sharing in the 6G era. Now, a little bit about sharing native 6G itself. So not unlike native 6G, sharing native 6G refers to a wireless communications, architectural and design approach where the spectrum sharing capability is by design deeply integrated into the 6G system from its inception, enabling enhanced spectrum efficiency, effectiveness, capacity, and multi-service coexistence. Understand that the future of 6G already necessarily includes spectrum sharing aspects to meet pragmatic 6G operator commercialization and deployment requirements, right? So what are these? It's in particular that 6G must both transition from 5G when the time comes, as well as continue to coexist with 5G in their own exclusively licensed spectrum for what will be many years, right? This was the case in the 4G to 5G transition, and there's every reason to believe that operators will continue to optimize their networks in this fashion, just more effectively now because it will be an inherent part of 6G. So this applies to all forms of authorized spectrum use, exclusively licensed, licensed by rule, and unlicensed. So sharing native 6G is really an inherent aspect, or will be an inherent aspect, of all stakeholders in the ecosystem. Now, I would like, if you don't mind, Stephanie, to make an appeal to our and your audience.
Yeah, please do.
And that is that, as we noted, the WinForum and the 6G work group are multi-stakeholder fora, multi-stakeholder specification and standard development organizations, right? So all member input is welcome, not only welcome, but also needed and beneficial, right? That's how we operate. That's how we work through some of these, at times, challenging issues, both technically and from, where you stand is where you sit, a stakeholder perspective, right? But they are necessary to work through because really there's no other approach to addressing this emerging need, which is growing so rapidly for Spectrum. Now, that said, if your organization would like to make a direct impact on practical sharing for the 6G era as well as for the 5G to 6G transition, understand also that overly simplistic approaches relying on only one single licensing approach simply will not be able to meet this rapid expansion in demand for Spectrum. And then I'd say number 3, if you're interested in pragmatic, fact-based sharing standards and solutions development, well, then we particularly would like to hear your perspective and welcome your contributions. Again, all contributions welcome, but some of you in your audience, I believe, really have something to offer here and to accelerate 6G coming as a whole. It's not just about spectrum sharing, it's about accelerating 6G across the globe. So we would love to hear what you have to say.
Great, thanks, Colby. Is there anything else that you'd like to add that I missed?
You know, there is, Stephanie. I would like to take this opportunity to invite all of your audience to come to our International Spectrum Sharing Workshop in June, the 26th and 7th in Reston, Virginia. Right? We would love to have your participation and for you to share your perspective.
Great, I'll put the link to that below so people can register.
Thank you.
And then remind me again when your meetings are for your 6G working group.
So they're on Tuesdays, every other Tuesday.
And I'll put a link to that meeting calendar in the notes below as well.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Great. Thanks again for your time, Colby. I'm so excited to see what this work group does. And we'll have some follow-up episodes in the future on your topics also.
Likewise, Stephanie. Really excited.
Great. Take care.